If you're ready to hit the track in the iRacing Ford FR500S Mustang, then sign up for the Barber Ford Mustang Club today. With great prizes from our awesome sponsors, this league is fast, fun, and best of all, free to race in. Take on 6 races of wheel-to-wheel action, all broadcasted live on Pit Stop TV. As a member, you will receive a $500 voucher to Barber Ford, plus entry into a raffle for a brand new Fanatec H-pattern shifter. Every point you earn on the track is 1 entry into the raffle, meaning you can race your way into a brand new Fanatec shifter drawn on December 15th. Battle your competitors at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Barber Motorsports Park, Brands Hatch, and for the finale, Lime Rock Park.
Week number 8 for 2023, season number 3 means a lot of different things. Of course, points battles are growing. This is the final week before we get drop weeks in the series standings. And this is also the final week that we'll be watching these Legends races and talking about these Legend drivers on these Monday evenings with you, thanks to EPI Short Track Mondays. A big thank you, as always, to Elite Performance Industries having us here on a Monday evening. And welcome to the virtual Hickory Motor Speedway, the birthplace of NASCAR stars, located in Newton, North Carolina. The name might deceive you just a little bit, but this really is a gem of a racetrack. As we bring it on into the sim here, you can take a look at the Hickory Motor Speedway from high above. Along the back stretch, there's a cemetery over to the left, and yes, it does interrupt racing. I've been there myself when it's happened, but let's take a look at the track map, and I have a guest joining me this evening, Anthony Rotolo. We'll talk to him in a little bit. This is a really odd-shaped racetrack, egg-shaped. The one end is a little bit higher up. It's not like North Wilkesboro quite that crazily, where one end of the track is way up on a hill and the other end of the track is way down the hill, but there is a little bit of that downhill kind of feeling down the front stretch and back up down the back stretch. Very unique racetrack here, especially for these Legend cars. We'll take a quick look at point standings coming into this evening. You can see on your screen, of course, Daniel Folds with all of these recent wins way out ahead of the bunch. That said, Dustin Monburquette has been absolutely turning the wick right back up to try and catch him. And with these drop weeks coming in, of course, this is all going to tighten back up, and the whole picture is going to change next week when we go on to late models. But it is interesting to see where drivers are moving around to. Kyle Turzak now up into the 8th spot. Ryan Coulthard still in the top 10. Matthew Boniface back into the top 10. Austin Cook. All these guys doing fantastic jobs. It is going to be a bit of an abbreviated pre-race segment, so we're going to get straight down to the grid as cars are ready to go racing this evening at Hickory Motor Speedway. And starting on pole, fastest qualifier, surprise, surprise, highest I rating in the field, it is Daniel Folds in car number 09. Starting from second, you'll find Michael Folds, his brother, I do believe, on his outside. Eric Steele rolls off from the 3rd spot. Blake Massengill, teammate, of course, to Daniel Folds, will roll off from the 4th spot. Tom Scully, position number 5 in car number 13. He rolls off 5th. Brian Narducci from the 6th spot. Derek Dixon will roll off from 7th this evening in car number 15. Matthew Boniface, 4th highest I rating in the field. That is a big number for that kid. He starts from 8th. Finally, to round out the top 10, Dustin Monburquette, number 2, way back there in 9th in qualifying alongside Austin Cook. They've got some work to do, Anthony.
I'm really excited to see what the Dustin Monburquette can do back there. And same with Austin Cook. I mean, they have such a high I rating, they'll be doing great. Sorry, we got Kyle Teserchek running, starting 13th. Kyle Meyer in 14th back there. We're about to go green here. And rounding out the field, John England as we go green.
A field of 15 headed down the backstretch. Now let's get the grid out of the way. Down the back straightaway to turn number 3, and it's single file out front for the top spot. That's the way Daniel Folds likes it. Up the racetrack quick. Eric Steele as one car spins at a turn number 4, and we are quickly halted in race number 8 of SOF racing, at least for these guys, and problems immediately for Tom Scully, John England, and the bunch. And we're kind of throwing you right into things here, Anthony, but it's good to have you. Good to have another voice alongside, and things went awry very quickly for a white and green number 13.
Yeah, sorry we had to Hickory hustle through the beginning of the broadcast there, but things were getting moving quick there. They got a little contact with 13. I believe that's the 01 there. Yeah, just a little bit of contact gets you around easy in these cars. I'm not the best at driving these things. I've only done them a couple times, but they are tough, and these guys are the best of the best.
Scully started from the 5th position on the inside. It is the 01. We're going to do a hard switch right here. Brian Narducci on the outside. Haven't seen him in a few races. Really, I don't think we've seen him since season number 1 when we covered Legend cars religiously. And you'll see from Scully's on board, just the 01 kind of comes down the racetrack. There's contact made, and suddenly that 13 is on the inside. Thankfully, it was a very centralized incident, but there was one car that it sounds like might have tagged the outside wall, and I think that was Matthew Boniface in car number 95, potentially. It's hard to say exactly, as the field will get doubled up this time by and get the one-to-go signal from the iRacing.com safety car. Anthony, this is probably a bit of a culture shock for you.
Yeah, I'm not too used to the short track scene. I don't get to race a lot in it. I don't get to see a lot of the races for it, but this is a lot of fun. I mean, they are zooming around here. It is, the cars are difficult to handle. I know that, so I'm not surprised. Any little beating and banging probably is going to get them around here as we are about to go green again.
That green flag, lap number 6 underway. On the inside, Daniel Folds. Outside, Michael Folds. As they head down the back stretch, there's car number 10, Blake Massico, caught in the middle. Up the inside is the 01, Narducci, and he slides into turn 3. And Brian Narducci is having a bad day.
Oh, that's a big wreck right there. Narducci got around, just the car just snapped on him, it looks like. Oh, no.
That's a lot of rear brake bias is what that is. These guys have to run these cars on edge to get them around here quickly. These fast tracks, much like Five Flags last week, you got to set the car up real sideways, real loose. And Narducci clearly on the edge here. Trail braking into the corner. The rear comes around. Boniface and others pile in. Nowhere to go. The 16 got a big hit.
Yeah.
And thankfully, there was some pretty good avoidance from guys like Austin Cook. They didn't take too big a hits at the very back, but those first couple were big.
Yeah, no, I mean, that could have been a lot bigger than it should have been, honestly. It's just tough when you're getting in there side by side, and you're on the inside, you're already kind of pushing it. Just snaps around, just hard hit there for Boniface, too.
I think Boniface, one of the youngest drivers in iRacing Legends competition, turned around there very early, already down a 14th spot in the pit lane.
Hopefully they don't have too much damage. They can get it repaired pretty quickly and get back out there. You know, they definitely don't want to have their race ended on lap 9.
Certainly they don't, and there's a lot, I think, hinging on this race. This is the final race that's going to count against them in this kind of way. After this week, once they start racing next week at Myrtle Beach Speedway, drop weeks will start to count. So they'll start to get 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. That will help them as they go through their season. Here's a look at the rest of the schedule here for the Legend cars. Myrtle Beach, Lakeland, Lanier, South Boston, some really cool tracks coming up. Unfortunately, for the Legends, we're done with Legends after this evening. We're on to late models. Continuing on this portion of EPI Short Track Mondays, Green Flag Flies, we're back racing. 10 laps complete.
Got a good run there on the outside.
The 5 car up the racetrack, that's Kyle Terzak, a bit of a slip up there. He's falling back. Teammates with the top, well, I was going to say the top 2, I guess top 3, if you will. Daniel Folds, Michael Folds, and Blake Massigill as we're back under caution. This is definitely the theme, apparently, today.
A little bit of a caution fest going on. I wonder what brought this one out.
If I had to guess, I'd say it's one of the last 2 cars in the field. John England, Matthew Boniface, potentially maybe exiting the pit lane. It's hard to say. But here's a look. This is on board with John England, and sure enough, turn number 4 checked up to miss some traffic.
It's been Calamity Corner so far.
Well, yeah, and that stab of rear brake, just like we saw from Brian Narducci, just in a different kind of setting, where Narducci was going for spots, and England was just trying to stay out of other cars. A quick look, finally, at your Whiplash SimCam's race details. 40-lap feature, cautions, no fast fix, open setup, 1 green-white checkered, and of course, Anthony, you run a lot of leagues. We cover the UFL Elite Series is coming back this Wednesday. This is almost a driver's paradise. I think some drivers might want to see the faster pair, but otherwise, this is a very fun, fast race.
Yeah, I mean, it's zooming by quickly, even with all the cautions. You know, we're already 14 laps into this thing. Hopefully, we can get a good green flag run here to the end. But these races are fun. I sign up for a couple of the rookie leagues, trying to get a little bit of my racecraft up. Just learn short tracks, you know, as much as you can. These are great cars to learn in, and this is actually what I started doing iRacing in. I think my first week I strictly only did Legends cars.
There you go. So this guy's he's got a little more Legend experience than I thought. Good to see as brothers on the front row just tangled coming to the restart. That could be a penalty for other drivers in the field. My goodness, that is something.
Yeah, I hope that people aren't going to get penalized for that. They were definitely passing on the inside, but I mean, I've had that happen to me before. That's frustrating. But what are you going to do? Let's see if anyone's gotten a penalty here.
Well, looks like these guys are okay. They keep racing on as Eric Steele moves back into the 3rd spot, crashing.
Oh, no.
Kyle Meyer, haven't seen much of him this summer, but, well, unfortunately, we see a bit of him here because he is the latest spinner in this evening's race here at Hickory Motor Speedway. You know, I've seen a lot of racing at Hickory. I've called some races at Hickory, but I haven't seen Legend cars here in the real world just yet. This is a really odd combo, and I don't know either driver did anything wrong there. Kyle Meyer from EPI and Pain Built Legends on the outside. That was Brian Narducci back on the inside, and I'll be open about this. I'm sure a lot of drivers look at that first and say, oh, well, the same car has already caused 2 crashes. I don't think Narducci did anything wrong.
It's 2 cars going for the same amount of real estate, and both of them kind of just... something's got to give there, and clearly Meyer got the worst of it. It's a tough scene. Hopefully he's able to recover.
Meanwhile, there's this guy way in the back now. Michael Folds, off that restart, made contact with Daniel Folds on the inside. Thankfully, neither one of them really crashed. Daniel hung on to the race lead. But Michael's back here in 10th spot now. I don't think he got the fair end of that one.
He's probably not happy. He probably wants to get back up there and see if he can maybe get a little bit of some payback potentially. I'm sure he would. He's not feeling too good about that move.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're brothers. I think that's honestly, I think that was bad choreography.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, for a restart. That was like a teammate restart gone wrong. But half the race complete now as we fly into the flag stand. 20 laps complete, 20 laps to go. And we've got teammates out front. We've got an all Zeems front row, then a Team Hard on the inside from Eric Steele. And I'm not sure who Ryan Lutz races for. It's a new name to me. Good to see him out here, though, this evening. We'll see what he can do on this restart. Let's go on board with the driver of the 36 car. Green flag back in the air.
Ooh, good start there on the outside. Let's see if they can get that run. Nothing going there. 32 car definitely pushing, though.
Single file
10 car.
Through the top 7, and a few cars slow in the back and mixing up spots for sure, but we are green through that first lap of action from the restart. Now you see Brian Narducci, Michael Folds racing, and here comes Matthew Boniface on the inside of the 95 car from Pain Built Legends as they start to bunch up, bungle up, and Dustin Marquette, he was involved in a crash. He's coming back through the field.
Yeah, he started way back there. Good to see him running in the top 5. He's made some good moves here. He's got Turchek. He's got Turchek all over him here. Oh, and a 36 is around.
Spin there from Ryan Lutz, who we just rode on board with for the restart, and he quickly toes out of this race, and I think he alt F4, and that's frustration getting through for the driver of the 36 car. But let's take a look. This is leading up to it the lap prior.
I can understand this frustration. If you're in enough incidents, it just kind of feels like your day's not going well. Gotta try and finish it out, see if anyone else might crash out, maybe get some positions back. Oh, he got tagged by the 01 there. I hate to say it, that 01 has been involved in a couple of wrecks here today. And, not putting that on anyone, but, if the shoe fits sometimes. That's tough. That's just close racing, really.
Watch the cut here from Ryan Lutz to get down the racetrack. He's trying to get down to the bottom and get in line, and Narducci's there running his own race. Again,
that's not on Narducci at all, yeah.
That's just situational kind of stuff, and Ryan Lutz out of the race very early. Dustin Marquette has just towed. He's done.
Oh, wow, okay.
Batteries dropped out. It might be connection.
He was running in 4th place. He made a good run. I believe he started in 12th.
I'm trying to see if we can get back to where he drops out. This is under the caution replay and just gone mid-session. That is huge. He's second in the standings. We can bring him back up as the field paces down the backstretch. Second in the standings coming into this race, has a great opportunity still at the championship. Once we get drops counted, these guys are all going to come right back together. I can't imagine that was intentional from Monburquette.
Yeah, I can't imagine either. That's music to Daniel Folds' ears, though, right there, seeing his competition just kind of bouncing out of the field.
It's also interesting to note that Jeremy Swanson is not here in this race this evening for Ryan Kuhn Motorsports. We do have Eric Steele in the race, one of the first times we've seen him this season. Austin Cook is back in here, Kyle Terzak, Ryan Coulthau, I thought, yes, he is in here. He's running 11th currently from Wall Stadium. As we come back to the restart zone, back green flag, 11 laps to go.
Here we go, the 5 car trying to get a good run on the inside. Ooh, slips down right in front of 32.
Well, he backed up to Eric Steele, and we've got a log jam to turn 3. Steele on the inside, Narducci down there trying to hang on to it. He does. Steele comes up the racetrack into, I think that was Derek Dixon he got into. As one lap is complete from the restart, the leaders are pulling away, and we've got 2 separate 2-car tangos out front of the field.
They were 3 wide there for about 2 corners. That was really stressful. They are really pushing it now.
Boniface, Meyer, and others stuck back in this log jam from about 7th, 8th on back. Everybody else single file out in front of them. Narducci's back here as well. He's now into the 9th spot as we are inside of 10 laps to go. Want to focus up on the race leaders and tell you about who they are. Of course, Daniel Folds from Zeem's, well, Team Zeem's setup shop, if you will, running in the first spot. He's got a lot of wins, leading the points. Blake Massengill, kind of his right-hand man to a lot of these 1-2 finishes they've had. He's second, while Kyle Terzak, now their third-hand man, if you will, running third in a lot of their 1-2-3 finishes, runs in the 3rd spot as caution flies.
You got someone back in the pack. Who is that right there?
Well, unfortunately, it's going to be our New Jersey native from Wall Stadium.
That's tough for Ryan. Let's see what happened here.
I've got some extended family, if you will, that is from up in New Jersey, and unfortunately, their local driver, if you will, from EPI here is having some trouble.
Fantastic save, though, not smacking the wall there. He was very close. That's very impressive, honestly. A lesser driver would have absolutely killed it here.
Well,
and very, very impressive.
Ryan runs legend cars in week-to-week scenarios at Wall Stadium in New Jersey. He runs every week, at least to my knowledge. Is probably running for the track championship this year, and does a great job of it. So he's got experience in this race car, and not necessarily at tracks like Hickory, but certainly at tracks that demand a lot out of a driver. Wall Stadium is no easy feat to go race at and be successful at. So considering he goes out there and does succeed in that Legends car, he clearly knows what he's doing as you take a look at your field pacing around here. I want to quickly take a look at our upcoming broadcast at Pit Stop TV before we close this thing out. Of course, Wednesday evening next up for us. Anthony, you could be out on track. It's the UFL Elite Series, season number 6 with Gen 4 cars at Daytona, 9 Eastern. That's going to be a fun one.
Fingers crossed we make the race. It's very exciting. Super excited to get back out on the track with all my buddies out there. And we got our paint scheme reveal coming out soon. A lot of cars have been showing off the paint scheme, so super excited to get back out there. A bumpy Daytona, nonetheless.
A lot of great paint schemes, bringing back some memories in some cases, and in the case of Aaron Smith, always the same old yellow on that car, but good to see he's going to run this season. It's going to be, I think, a really stacked field, especially at Daytona this Wednesday. But into the restart zone, 2 laps to go, natural green-white checkered at Hickory Motor Speedway for the Legends.
Great start there by Daniel Folds. Let's see if he can hold on to it. He's got
Folds,
a good jump.
Up.
He's got a good jump on these guys. I think he'll be able to hold on here. 1 to go for this time around.
White flag is out, presented by Whiplash Simcams. 1 lap to go, and out front, it is all Car 09. It's all Zeem's setup shop out front. A rough day for just about every other shop under the sun. Congratulations, of course, to car number 09 to victory lane this evening. Daniel Folds with the win, 3 wide finish behind, and that is how it works out here at Hickory Motor Speedway. What a day for those guys out front. Particularly Daniel Folds and Blake Massengill, but also Terzak coming through the field to finish in that 3rd spot. Really well done across the board for those guys.
That was a fun race. They started cleaning it up near the end, and there was some good racing going on throughout the field. Lots of 3 wide in the back of the pack, so good on them holding their own as they were all stacking up on the front straightaway, get their picture in the victory lane.
I said it last week, I'll say it again this week. A big shout out as well to Austin Cook, somebody that, I've got out on the track recently. I didn't run any 5 flags last week, didn't find the time to do so. But I have gotten back into some legend car racing thanks to Elite Performance Industries, and they helped me find a lot of speed on the racetrack, and some of the guys I raced with were Austin Cook. And it's very cool to see somebody that I race with at an I rating of, 2200 or something, go on and run in these top splits. And hopefully that's what some iRacers can gather from this that aren't in these top split races is, hey, you might race with that guy in other splits throughout the week, and you get to see him go and run like this in top split to start things off on the week. As Daniel Folds goes to victory lane, really not a surprise there in any way, shape, or form. The whole posse's already in our broadcast waiting channel. But Blake Massengill with a win, or not a win, a 2nd place. I guess it's a win if you're not counting Daniel Folds. I think he'll take it. 2nd place, Kyle Terzak there in 3rd. Eric Steele, Derek Dixon, the rest of the top 5. Austin Cook there in 6th. Michael Folds 7th. Brian Narducci, Kyle Meyer, Matthew Boniface I will say, Anthony, it's really interesting. Folds came back, came up to 7th. Narducci was able to soldier through it all, finish 8th, and Kyle Meyer and Matthew Boniface, who both ended up in other incidents throughout the course of the evening by not their own doing, still had time for a top 10 there, 9th and 10th. Really solid finishes for those guys.
Yeah, very impressive, and it goes to show, don't give up, even if it's the going gets tough. Keep fighting, keep pushing. You never know if you might get that top 10 or top 5, so good on them.
Down
So
here,
we got Tom. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, down here, top 15, all the way down to Dustin Bob Burkett, because there's only 15 cars in the race. Tom Scully, Ryan Kulthau, John England, Ryan Lutz, and Dustin Mombercat. We do have a race winner ready to talk to us this evening, and it is, of course, Daniel Folds. Had to wait for the beat drop there on the music in my ear, but Daniel Folds with a race win this evening. And Daniel, we talked to you after each one of these races. It seems like always in victory lane. This evening, though, it seemed like it was a real team effort out front of the field. How'd you guys do it?
We knew qualifying was going to be important. Hickory's been known to have races like this, especially on opening night, people being overly aggressive and putting it where it doesn't need to be. So, like I said, we knew qualifying was going to be important. We kept it up front and did what we needed to do.
Certainly getting the job done out front of the field. What about that contact with you and Michael on one of those restarts?
It wasn't any harm to us. I mean, he just misjudged it. He was trying to look over and figure out when I was going to go, and just the wheel kind of followed his eyes. But it was a true accident. It wasn't meant to harm anybody. So
is that kind of a teaching moment? Obviously, you've got this figured out. Any kinds of those small things, though, it seems to hold those guys back. And that might sound a little bit odd, but is that kind of a teaching moment that you can use of just how to focus on a restart when you're coming up in second spot?
It was just an honest mistake. I mean, he's never done that before, and I really don't see it happening again now that it's happened once. I've had some issues with that kind of thing from some other drivers, but we'll take it as a lesson learned and move on.
And Daniel, of course, we're done with Legend Cars after this evening, unfortunately, for the season. We're going to keep tabs on your points battles throughout the rest of these last 4 races, these last 4 rounds. A wide variety of tracks coming up, though. Of course, Myrtle Beach next up for you guys. Then you're off to Lakeland, Lanier, and South Boston. And those last 3 races are all free tracks. They're all kind of staples on iRacing through rookies and all the way up. What's your outlook on these last 4 races? How do you go out there and execute and get these last few wins that you need to wrap up this championship?
Myrtle Beach will be interesting. We haven't been there before, so myself, Blake, and Kyle, and probably a couple other guys are gonna put in a good bit of testing to make sure we got some top-notch stuff again there for the first season. And the next 3 tracks, we've always been good there. We got a really good baseline, and I think we'll keep the same speed that we've been having this year.
There you go, Daniel Folds from position number 1 when it's all said and done. A good outlook on the rest of the season. Daniel, congratulations as always, and maybe one day we'll see you in who knows what. Maybe we'll come back to Legends next season. Congratulations once again. We'll see you in the future.
Appreciate it.
Daniel Folds, a really solid effort this evening. Blake Massengill, of course, as well. Second spot, really well deserved, and we'll check in with him thanks to Anthony Rotolo.
Blake, Anthony over here in the booth. Great job. Second place finish. First of all, just want to say, did a great job racing out there. So just walk us through it. How'd the car feel today? How, what could you have given any extra to Daniel out there on the racetrack?
I don't know. He's been through practice we did. He was really fast all through it. So he was better off here than I was. I recently just upgraded my wheel to now a direct drive wheel, so I'm a little off but still glad I was able to finish strong. I mean, it was very aggressive from the beginning. I mean, early contact with Narducci, I haven't looked at that yet to see what happened really, but I mean, I look up in my mirror and they're 3 wide back there, so. But we were just able to keep it clean and stay up front, so that's what matters.
It looked like later on in the race you were fighting the car a little bit. How did it feel near the end of the run? Do you think that you could have given anything if we had a couple more laps?
I don't know. With all the cautions and just the constant heat cycle on the tire, I felt like I was getting just a tad bit tight, not able really to get off the corner like I wanted to. But in the end, I ended up getting the wall there too, so that kind of just said, that was the moment of realization that I probably should just, take what I got. So
Great job out there with a wonderful second place finish. Awesome job. Congratulations again on the podium.
thank you.
Blake Bassengill from the second spot this evening, and of course, a job well done there. How about Kyle Turzak from the third spot, getting his job done as well? And Kyle, this was a bit of an odd round for you. Started 13th this evening. What happened in qualifying?
Just driver's make. I was just driving it so hard because Q is very, very important here, and I think Daniel and Blake definitely had that down. I had really, really good race pace. It's just, I could mess up in Q pretty easily, just because of me. But, we had a very odd race today. Came from 13th to 3rd. I just had a absolutely rocket ship of a race set right there from Daniel and Zine Setup Shop right there. But, I'm really proud actually for that. I wish I could actually get my actual paint scheme back. Ran out of Trading Paints Pro a couple days ago, so that's bad. But hey, we still got the 1, 2, 3, and we're still thriving.
It's still a really good day for you, considering you picked up 10 spots in racing conditions coming through all of that mess. That was the first 38 laps of the race, it felt like. What is it like when you're swatting flies there, trying to get by all these guys? You know you've got speed, but it's a matter of how to use it and also maintain your tires to get to the end of the race and put yourself in this kind of position, because it's not easy to go from 13th to 3rd, which is actually, now that I think about it, 11 spots, I think. That is a hard thing to do at a place like Hickory.
Yeah, very much, especially with the bumps. These cars do not like the bumps, I tell you that. But they handle it for what we have. But it was very difficult trying to get through everything. One time, actually, I think I had to go all the way down on the apron just to avoid wrecks and all that stuff. But we got through it and ended up P3.
On to Myrtle Beach for you guys next week. Congratulations on another top 3, and hopefully we're talking to you more throughout the rest of 2023 season 3 and beyond. Kyle, best of luck.
Yep, thank you.
And Kyle Turzak, of course, from Zine Setup Shop, along with Daniel Folds, Blake Bassengill, those guys out front. A job well done for all of them. And Anthony, I know this was very much a last-minute thing to get you in here, kind of throw you to the wolves and see how things go. Sink or swim, as the old adage goes. But you did a fantastic job. How's your first experience behind the mic for one of these Advanced Legends races?
Well, thank you so much, Andrew, first of all, for having me. It means a lot to be able to get to finally do one of these things. I know that we've been talking, it's been in the works a little bit ever since we had you on the podcast over on my end. And honestly, it's a lot of fun. It's a very quick race. Comes by really fast. 40 laps in these things. I think they're doing like 15-second lap times around here. It's wonderful, honestly, getting to do this. I'd love to have the opportunity to do it again more often. Maybe something I'm a little more familiar with driving, but it's been a minute, and I'm grateful once again to have had this opportunity, and just getting to hang out. Really, it's a good time. It's good racing too.
Well, we'll say you'll get a call back. How about that? But you mentioned the podcast. Quickly before we shut things down here this evening, tell everybody out there watching, whether it's live or in the future, where people can hear your sweet voice, because of course, this kind of started from, as you mentioned, that podcast, the discussion we had about broadcasting and whatnot in that podcast, and it's a very big part of what you do.
Yeah, so you can anyone want to check us out? We're over at Left Turns and Loud Noises. You can check us out on any of the broadcasting or Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We have a website as well. We're powered by Rogue Media Network, so check us out there. LTLN_podcasts on all forms of social media. Yeah, no, I mean, Andrew, we got to get you back on soon. I keep saying we got to get you for a short track race. We just got to get you on in general. And I think with the UFL season starting up, I think it's a perfect time to get you back on the podcast as soon as possible. So keep your DMs open, as they say.
It certainly will be. I do want to say that this was, I know this has felt like a bit of a Zeems clinic these last 4 weeks, but I think there's a lot of driver aspect coming in, and just reflecting back on these 4 Legends races we've had these last 4 weeks, there's a lot of driver coming in, and I think I said something along these lines last week at Five Flags. It's been interesting to see how each shop kind of treats these SOF races. And I know there's a lot of real life commitments. For example, I guarantee you, Joel Smith from EPI and Painbuilt Legends, who builds these legend setups, I think, or at least has an influence or something. I'm not sure exactly the roles anymore. It's been so long, but I know he's involved in the setup building for EPI. He's out there running a Legends car on Tuesday nights. And what that means is he's out there running a Legends car on Monday nights, getting ready for Tuesday nights at Charlotte Motor Speedway for Cookout Summer Shootout. There's a lot of work that goes in a lot of different ways, and a lot of real life commitments, because these guys are real guys who get the job done. And if you need any kind of I guess push to get over and get some legend car setups or any kind of setups from EPI, I am a first-hand kind of experience on the fact that I went out there, wanted to run some legend races at Southern National Motorsports Park a couple of weeks ago, and I was over a second off. And I never got quite to that leader pace, but I will say, for the second race I did, when I downloaded that EPI setup, I picked up over a half second. And I picked up 5, 6 tenths. I went out there on a race with guys like Austin Cook, and suddenly I felt like I was a racing god or something out there. It was pretty crazy, the transformation. And I think it really does come down to drivers on these Monday night SOF splits, and we saw Mombercat bringing the heat. Unfortunately, he was kind of flamed out pretty quick. I don't know exactly what happened, whether it was connection or hardware or what went on there for the 16 car, but he ended up out early. I just want to stress, there's so much strength, especially behind the Legends program for EPI and Painbuilt Legends. I know it's felt like a Daniel Folds clinic, but that's because he's just that darn good. He specifically is that darn good in the Legends car, and unfortunately, some of the top EPI guys aren't able to race consecutively, or whatever you want to call it, consistently in some of these races. So a little bit of, I guess, perspective on how this bit of Short Track Mondays has gone. But next up for us here at Pit Stop TV, we head out to Daytona International Speedway, the 2008 version for the UFL Elite Series, and EPI is a partner over there as well as Whiplash SimCams and CC's Business now that are partners here of the channel at Pit Stop TV. It's a really cool thing that's happening this season. A lot of great new partners, a lot of great new faces in the league. Anthony, you'll be trying to make your attempt at racing this Wednesday evening at Daytona, 9 Eastern. You got to tune in.
Yeah, we got a bad fast car, so let's see if we can get ourselves in the field. Like I said, I'm just excited to get back out with a bunch of my buddies and just race. You know, it's one of my favorite. It is my favorite league to run. I always appreciate you. You do such a great job with the broadcast, Andrew. So check it out Wednesday at 9.
And I will say, we do plan. This is a tentative plan. We do tentatively plan to cover knockout qualifying for this race, and this is such an important race to cover knockout qualifying for, in lieu of a single car qualifying or duels or anything like we had last season. This is just a knockout qualifying format to keep it consistent with the other 11 races of the season, so I like that, but it means we've got to cover that qualifying. The tentative plan, for those out there watching, is to go live for that session at 8:45, so a little before our technical live time of 9 o'clock, but to cover that knockout qualifying session will be so important for context the rest of the evening. It will likely be a kind of video and track audio only. The plan is not currently to commentate that, since it'll be probably pretty quick, 5-7 minutes I think of qualifying everybody out there all at once, but that way you can at least see times come in and who's fast and who gets in. Of course, there will be some drivers locked in, I believe the top 20 in points, and then everybody else as a free-for-all to qualify their way into that show and the rest of the shows the rest of the season. So a lot of interesting, I guess, possibilities could come from that race. And then Sunday evening, after the UFL fun is done, we take a few days off and then go out to Michigan International Speedway, the Shake and Bake Racing Butt Kicker Cup Series at Michigan. That's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, a NASCAR Cup style league, as you can see with the next gen car there in the image. That's going to be a very entertaining race. Their playoffs are coming up. They mirror the NASCAR schedule almost to a T. And I really am looking forward to seeing how that race goes down. It's a very, very much a speedway draft style race that I think is going to have a mix of tire and fuel strategy thrown in. And Anthony, maybe we can get you in for that one too. That's going to be a fun one Sunday evening.
Hey, if you'll have me, I absolutely love Michigan. It's one of my favorite tracks on the circuit. That next gen car goes to. So yeah, I'll definitely be checking that one out. And if you'll have me again, I can always learn.
Well, absolutely. And hey, Monday we come right back. Well, kind of right back. We go out to USA International Speedway for the continuation here of Short Track Mondays this season, 2023 season number 3, as we pick up the Cars late model stocks. Heading out to USA Lakeland, Florida, kind of a throwback track for those guys. Should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun as we head on down to Lakeland, Florida on August the 7th for round number 9 of this season and pick up that points battle all the way to the championship. It'll be a very exciting few races, I am sure, as we pick up USA, Thompson, Hickory, and I believe Five Flags is the final race. I'll actually check that quick before we sign off this season. Let me check that. I know we're going to USA, Thompson, and Hickory. I believe Five Flags is the final race. And sure enough, Five Flags for the finale is going to be rather interesting. We just saw that for the D-Line Racing League on Tuesdays this past week. Late model stock cars at Five Flags, a very, very interesting combo. Usually you expect supers there. Late model stocks are a bit different, less power, less brake, a bit more weight. It's a whole different challenge with these late model stocks. But that'll do it for us this evening. Of course, you see social media there along the bottom. Thanks for tuning in this evening, though. It has been a pleasure with Anthony Rotolo alongside. It really has been a pleasure having you join us for the first time here, Anthony, and hopefully the beginning of something new. As I do want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to our partners here at the channel, Whiplash Media SimCams, ATVO, and CC's Business, and of course those behind the scenes helping us make these broadcasts happen in audio, ATVO, Whiplash Media SimCams, and OBS, and iRacing.com, of course. We will see you all next time. Of course, next up, the UFL Elite Series from Daytona. Otherwise, we'll see you Monday evening for EPI Short Track Mondays, 8:15 Eastern next week, late models at USA.